Pascal, 2 goals, a win against Manchester United, a historic win, almost the perfect start to the season.
Yeah, I think we can't ask for much more. 3 points away from home against Manchester United. Their first home game is a big win for us today.
2 more goals for you to add to your tally against this club. What is it about playing Manchester United that you seem to enjoy so much?
I don't know. I would love to score more goals also against other teams, but yeah, always against Manchester United. Don't know why.
Right from the word go, it was a great start. What clicked so well in that first half?
I think we played really well. The game plan was really good. We stick to it. Away from home, I think played really well, had our chances and be clinical in front of goal.
United's goal perhaps made the second half a little bit more uncomfortable. How do you think they were able to come back into the game?
Yeah, it's always tough. Old Trafford, if you get a 2-1, the last 25 minutes are tough. You have to dig in, you have to defend as a team. There will be tough moments, and I think we did it as a unit so well today.
And it's the second time you've done it in a matter of months. How does this win compare to the one at the Amex, the 4-0?
Both nice, always good to win a football game against Manchester United. Both nice wins, great start into the season. We're really happy today.
Yeah, and how excited are you now about what you might achieve this season as a club?
No, it's the first 3 points. We're happy and we move forward.
All right, well, congratulations. You are player of the match. Well deserved.
Thank you very much.
He enjoys playing against Manchester United, and they particularly enjoyed that first half, didn't they, Brighton?
First hour, they were far and away the better team. I thought Danny Welbeck's performance, actually, I know he scored the 2 goals, but I thought Danny Welbeck as a centre-forward, all-round centre-forward's performance, other than scoring a goal, I thought it was brilliant. He stretched Maguire, and Martinez kept running in behind him into them pockets. It looked an obvious game plan and something you would probably plan for, and did, and it worked brilliantly well. But no, they were good. Brighton were well worthy of the victory. I know United came into it the last 20 minutes, half an hour, which you'd always expect after scoring a goal, bringing Cristiano on. Amazed he didn't come on at half-time, to be honest with you. And look, I think we can talk about United all day and say how poor they were, but Brighton were really good on the other end as well.
And he was involved in the goals, Danny Welbeck, wasn't he?
He was. I don't think we should be surprised at Brighton. I mean, we've probably been surprised for a couple of seasons. We shouldn't be anymore. They're a very, very competent team in the Premier League. But Danny Welbeck was very good. Me and Scholes have both played alongside him. He's one of the great frustrations of football, really, because he's got absolutely everything in terms of pace, intelligence. He can run. He's good in the air. He just doesn't score enough goals. Doesn't stay fit, possibly long enough. But he was a constant thorn in Manchester United's side, and you see his run there that almost starts the move. I don't really blame Luke Shaw at all there. He's got to go to the nearest point of danger, and Fred, I feel, should be aware of what's around him in the build-up, because then that causes the backlog on the back post, Sean.
Yeah, I have to totally agree. I think he highlighted that in the first goal, and then the second goal, you can see it there. He doesn't get back as far as he did in the first goal, but he still doesn't know what's around him and leaves that space wide open. And I think Caicedo in this game, this move in total was a great counter-attack, that they utilised the space well and that they picked the right passes. And here again, like you said in the first one, this time he actually gets back into position, but he goes to sleep and Gross is awake to get the rebound.
This is the best angle, isn't it? I think, Scholes, where you just see his body.
Yeah, it's Fred again falling asleep. Like you said at half-time, mate, he's done the hard thing, but that's not enough. Just running back towards your goal is not enough. You have to be aware of what's around you. You have to expect that your goalkeeper is going to make. I'm not sure it's a mistake. It's a good save, but maybe he could have hit it wider. But as a defender, you've got to expect that. And his body shape's all wrong. You can't see him. The lad just.
Yeah. And for Brighton, we mentioned their 9th place finish and how they go and better that. We also mentioned the 2 players they've lost in the summer, Cucurella and Basuma. What a feel it for them to go to Old Trafford on the opening day and win.
Yeah, and as I say, we shouldn't really be surprised. They're a very good side, and they can go and put in a performance like that at Old Trafford, having lost their 2 best players over the summer, is different class, and you'd expect them to go and be able to invest that 100-odd million that they've sold their 2 best players for. And they rarely miss in the transfer market. You know, those 2 players in particular, that's a great sign of what they can do. buy players cheapish and go and sell them for big money. They put an awful lot of work into their transfer dealings and they're getting the rewards, and as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And you would think, as I say, if they go and reinvest wisely, who knows where they can finish another top half maybe.
Certainly a day that Brighton will never forget. For Scott McTominay, were you happy with the yellow card interpretation for this tackle?
I was happy he didn't get sent off, but I think he's slightly lucky. Again, he's running with the ball. Absolutely ridiculous. Running with the ball on this pitch on a dry day, and he does go over the top. You can argue it's a little bit of a on the side foot, but that could easily be a red card. Now, the quality of the player in the middle of the pitch is nowhere near good enough, but we've seen that for the last 2 years with these two players. Fred and McTominay together, he's going to have to go with one of them, and one of them's probably too much because Fred is giving the ball away every time. McTominay's running with the ball, constantly running with the ball, trying to dribble, gives the ball away. Pass the ball to your best players. It's not that difficult, Steve. Eriksen, Fernandes, great creative players. Rashford, Sancho run through. Really good players. Running with the ball, it's criminal on a day like today, it's criminal.
Talking of Eriksen and Fernandes, what have you made of the way they've set up in front of them?
Well, that was the big question, Steve, before the game, is who's going to play highest. Erik ten Hag said that he was going to play Eriksen higher up, but we've seen a lot of the time this situation, Eriksen dropping in and Bruno Fernandes running into the space he's leaving. It's a real nice movement they've got between them going, but it's never been picked out. Scholes said, you know, the passing towards the front players has been non-existent. They're more interested in running with the ball, but you see it here. There's lots of occasions where Bruno Fernandes is actually using that pocket that Eriksen's running into to then fill the void. And again here, so he was getting a little bit frustrated towards the end. Not once was he found, but that's the combination play that we're looking for. And Scholes mentioned it before the game. We thought that the wide player Scholes might play actually inside and run into those from a diagonal point of view, run into the spaces that the lads are creating ahead.
Yeah, exactly what we said. And for Fernandes to be the one to do it, it's not his strength. He's the one who drops into spaces, gets on the ball and plays them type of runs in. Even if the ball comes to him, he's not going to be able to run through anyway because somebody will probably catch him. It's your quick players. Fernandes, Eriksen, drop in, and then you, as I said, there's Sancho from the right-hand side, straight through, Rashford from that side, and they're the players that play the balls to these people. It's good runs, and I know what he's trying to do by getting the penetration, stretching the team, but he's just not that type of player.
Well, very good memories for Brighton fans the last time these two met. I had to get that in there right at the start, just in case you didn't let me, Leanne. But now it is a first match in charge for Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. How optimistic are you, Owen, that he can turn things around at your former club?
I like him. I like him. I think he says the right things, but, you know, the proof is in the pudding. You know, I think the biggest issue is the fact Manchester City and Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, they're so strong. They're so far ahead in terms of their plan and the coaches and the recruitment. And Man United, look, they needed a big summer. They need a big window. And they need to, you know, make a big difference in terms of player recruitment. Hasn't really materialised. I think they've signed a very good manager. I just hope they give him time. There's no way they can be any worse than they were last year, where they probably had their worst season ever. But I like him. He's firm. You know, he doesn't take any rubbish. There was a lot of issues last season. I think he's going to fix that. And if you don't buy in, then you could probably be gone. I like that. But I just think it's going to be really difficult to get into the top four. The teams ahead of them are just too strong.
As someone who supports Manchester United fiercely, Leanne, are you optimistic about the work that he can do? Is he the right man for the job long term?
I think so. I mean, as I've said, I don't think it can get any worse. I think this is probably the first time, probably since I've ever supported Man United, since I was 5, that people have not spoken about Manchester United qualifying for the Champions League. Genuinely, it doesn't even look like they can. I mean, in pre-season, beating Liverpool 4-0, Martial and Rashford have had a good pre-season, but it's pre-season, so therefore, I'm still a little bit sceptical of the season. I think Ten Hag is probably the right man for the job, but I just think we can't keep firing managers. It has to come down to the players and the long-term plan of what the club has. So I think there's been a lot of changes. I've liked what I've seen in some of the clips of his pre-season training. I think the pressure of him, playing from the front, I like that. I like pressurising from the front. You can see he's bringing that intensity. But I just think it's going to take a while for Manchester United to get back to where they ever were before, if we do. But I'm optimistic. I think against Brighton, you did have our cards marked last season, and Graham Potter's a fantastic manager, but it's Old Trafford, so that's my only hope.
In terms of the players that you're mentioning there, Leanne, and signings, it's been quiet for Manchester United in this window. Christian Eriksen is obviously one of the players that has come to Old Trafford. Is he a player that Manchester United needed?
Well, look, you could argue they're worse than they were last season. You know, you think about all the players that they lost. You know, they lost Cavani, and they lost Mata, and they lost Jesse Lingard. You know, I think they lost 6. Matic, they lost 6 players, and they've only really signed 3, 1 on a free. Eriksen's a good player. He's a good squad player. He's not going to play every game. Him and Bruno are in the same position. Malakia, I think the left back, he's good, talented young left back, talented boy. He'll push Luke Shaw. And Martinez, I think he's not the biggest profile as a centre back, but he's tough. He's hard as nails. He's got a good left foot, and I think the Man United fans are going to love him. But I think they need a little bit more, and that's probably one of the reasons why Cristiano, you know, he wants to leave, because he's 37. He's looking at the dressing room thinking, I don't have time for you guys to sort out upstairs, you know, getting the players in there. We need to push Man City and Liverpool.
And Frankie de Jong, for example, it's been taking
he'd be perfect for them, yeah.
But it takes too long. Why does it seem like Manchester City and Liverpool can get players through the door when they want them? It seems like Manchester United, Frankie de Jong's been linked for the last 2 months, and it still might happen that he goes to Chelsea.
And that's what they need. I mean, that's exactly what they need. Leanne's right. You know, that was the amazing thing about David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson. They did the business, and they just announced the player, and then he was signed. And all of a sudden now, you know, they've been linked with for how long?
Even Eriksen, though.
And let's see now, Chelsea look like they might sneak in there. So you're better off just doing it really quietly and announce the players. But that's the quality you need. I'd rather not spend 30 million on a player that's going to be gone in a year's time. I'd rather you go spend, you know, 50, 60, 70 on a player that's going to make a difference. Liverpool did that brilliantly with Alisson and Van Dijk. That's what United need to do. They need to spend big on 1 or 2 guys and then go from there to there.
What would you like to see happen with Cristiano Ronaldo then, Leanne?
I'd like for him to stay. I mean, maybe it's because I'm being biased, but I also don't agree with keeping players that don't want to be at the club. Whatever, no one's bigger than the club. Everybody says that, but that's the reality. Last year, a lot of people questioned, did he have a really good season? He still was a top goal scorer, still got the best player. It wasn't difficult to get the best player at Man United last season, but I still think he'll be a massive loss if he does leave. And I just can't believe it's taken, again, this long for it to be a situation, because I wanted Ten Hag to come in and just have a complete clean slate, and hopefully, I mean, it looks like he's going to stay. They're talking about him not being match fit, and Martial's obviously now out with an injury, so he could end up starting against Brighton, and I'm sure he'll start and play well and score. But there's a lot of people speak a lot about Cristiano Ronaldo, and he is held to a different standard. He is one of the best players ever, but everybody's always looking at what he's doing. They're talking about him leaving the game the other day along with other players. Everyone starts talking about that. This is Manchester United. We don't need to talk about that type of stuff. Ultimately, it comes down to winning, and that's what Manchester United need to get back to doing.
What is a successful season for Manchester United this year then?
I mean, top 4. I mean, that would be great. That'd be a great season. If they finished 4th, I think they would have had a very good season. You know, you want to try and win one of the cups and have a good run. But Champions League would be brilliant. And you just look at Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham are going to be exceptional. Arsenal, I think, are going to be really good. And Chelsea with Tuchel, you know, they'll be right there. So if they can find a way to sneak into 4th, they've had a great season.
If they finish outside of the top 4, but they win the Europa League and get into the Champions League that way, is that good enough for you as a fan?
I think we have to be realistic. I think myself and a lot of Manchester United fans, we talk a lot about the Manchester United of old, but we're not the Manchester United of old anymore. We have to be realistic of where we're at, and it pains me to say that it will be a successful year if we make the Champions League, genuinely. And obviously you mentioned getting into Europa League, winning that makes us get in the Champions League. But I believe if we were in the Champions League right now, we wouldn't probably get out the group stage because we're not good enough where we're at. So hopefully, you know, and it can attract more players. That's probably why Cristiano Ronaldo wants to leave, because we're not in the Champions League. Why would he want to stay? You know, he's coming towards the end of his career. Everything he's probably promised about what Manchester United was going to be hasn't been that way. At times last year, they weren't even trying, were they? You can handle, no one wants to lose, but they wasn't even running. Yeah. And that's not good enough.
What about Brighton this season then? I already mentioned the last time these two faced each other, Brighton won 4-0 at the Amex. But since then, they've lost 2 of their best players in Marc Cucurella, who today confirmed his signing at Chelsea, and Yves Bissouma going to Tottenham as well. What can they hope for this season? But
look, what they're bringing in 70 odd million, you know, or more, 85 million. Graham Potter is the best player / asset that they have at Brighton. They've got a lot of good players, but Graham Potter's the best one. And they're going to lose. Look, they're good players, both of those. I like them, both technically good players. They'll be replaced by Graham Potter. and the scouting has been exceptional. So I think for Graham Potter and Brighton, you know, they play great football. You know, if they can find a way to add a goal score into all that nice football that they play, they'll be just fine. I really believe that. And Graham Potter, as good a job as he keeps doing, problem is if he keeps doing as well as he's doing, he'll be doing that at another team, sadly.
He probably, you know that as well, though. You know that as well, though. Everybody can see it. And I agree with Owen. I think, obviously, they've got Welbeck in, Lallana over in recent years, and Maupay, you know, he's a decent player, but they don't put the ball in the back of the net. So they play this exciting football, as you know, because you watch them every week, and they just can't put the ball in the back of the net. And if you don't score goals, it's always going to be quite difficult. So maybe he will get another player through the door. It's Brighton. I think they're a good team, so I don't see why not. But, yeah, having Graham Potter as a manager, I think, is a massive asset.